everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Mike DeLisio.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Origin Story, which for some reason keeps slipping out of my head, the name of this. But it is a game about your origin story to you becoming a superhero. It's also a trick-taking game, the first trick-taking game from Stonemaier Games, which was just recently announced. It is for 1 to 5 players, although I would probably fall down a flight of stairs before I try a trick-taking game solo. Come on, not everything needs to be solo.
You always say this, Tom. You always rail against saying that. I'd rather have a root canal than play this game.
You're right. Oh, I tried to pick something that wouldn't be. You're right. I would not rather fall down a flight of stairs.
I'd rather have a root canal than fall down a flight of stairs. Have we gone off track
really?
enough yet?
Okay,
Falling
anyway.
down a flight of stairs.
You're right. Okay, I apologize for my hyperbole, but I'm not playing this solo. And if I might make a small complaint, because I'm not going to make many more other than that, I don't like necessarily paying for all the extra solo stuff, including a whole nother rule book. But hey, that's the way life is these days. Anyway, this is a trick-taking game about being a superhero. Let me show you how to play it, and we'll be back. Before we talk about the rest of the game, let's talk about the trick-taking here. You have cards 1 to 13 in 4 different suits. Love is the trump suit. So the way that the game normally works is a player can play, the starting player will play a card from their hand. Each other player must follow suit if possible. If you don't have the suit that's led, you can play any card you want. When that's done, whoever plays the highest card of the first card played wins the trick. Unless love was played, then the highest love card that's played will win the trick. Not every card will be dealt to all the players. Over the course of a round, you are going to be playing 8 tricks per round, and there are 5 rounds in the game. Each player is going to start with this victory point dial, alignment dial, and a board. The boards are asymmetrical. So you can see this is Victor, while you also could be Maria, and you'll start with 1 stamina. Players also get 2 reference cards. Why do you need 2? Because in the 5th round, you're going to pick your superpower. Here, maybe I'll be as Vesuvius or High Noon, but I don't need to decide that until round 5, so I'll just put those there. At the beginning of a round, everyone is going to get dealt 8 cards from the deck, like I mentioned before, and you'll be able to see what cards you have. Players are also going to get another stamina each round. And then players are going to, for the first 4 rounds, draw 3 superpower cards. And you're going to pick one of these. Now, these are all very different. Whichever one you pick, you'll all reveal at the same time and put them down here, showing your abilities. Now, these are abilities. Every ability, and you start with a couple abilities, or at least you start with one ability that you could use multiple times. You need to charge. So maybe at the beginning of a round, I'll charge this one twice, or I can spend both of these to charge this one here, which is actually not a super ability, but it's an ally. And when you charge these cards, they're going to let you do various things. So this one says when I charge it, I will draw, discard a card, then draw a card. And at the end of a round, I get 2 victory points if I won exactly 2 tricks. Here, it says if I win 2 or fewer tricks, I'll gain a victory point per stamina on this card. So I have to decide which of those I want to do. And frankly, I don't have time to go through every ability in this deck, but there are so many cool ones. If you have Bolt, if you win the first trick, you get 2 victory points. If not, draw a card, discard a card. When you win a trick, if every card in that trick is 10 or less, get 2 victory points. On your turn, when you follow, you play your card face down. You don't have to reveal it till the end of a trick. This one here, your strength cards are all +2. If you win the final trick, you get an extra stamina. Choose a suit, discard all the cards of that suit from your hand, then draw that many cards. So some of these happen when you take them, when you charge them. Some happen only when you lead. You can pick somebody else to lead a trick rather than you, and if you pick an opponent, it's +1. Here, this is an ongoing one. Anyone plays a 13, I draw a card and discard a card. Here, you can show all your cards when you put this one out there, but then you get a victory point for every trick that you win. So all these are 1 or 2. Obviously, the 2s are better, but they cost more stamina. And at the beginning of each round, you're going to be playing another one. You get another stamina every round, but you can see that you're not going to be able to charge all your abilities unless you find some way to get extra stamina. You also are going to, at the beginning of round 3, draw an event card. This only happens on round 3. Everyone reveals a card from their hand, gains victory points equal to its value, discards all cards at a value from their hand, and then draws back to 8 cards. Everyone passes 3 cards to the right. Whenever they empty hand, they get to reveal cards. You probably predict an opponent to win the most tricks, yada yada. One of these. And before you play the trick for each round, you also decide if you're going to be a superhero or a supervillain. A superhero gets 1 point for every trick that they play, and you keep track of points here. The supervillain gets 4 victory points if they win no tricks. Finally, on the 5th round, you're going to pick between these 2 superpowers. Many of these will give points. This one here, everyone has to give you a trump card in exchange for a card of your choice from hand. Anyone who does that gets a stamina. For each opponent that refuses, you get 3 victory points. And there are several of these different cards here. Metamorph, Nemesis, and like for each of your stamina, get a victory point, draw a card. This one here just gives you 7 victory points. Put the top card of the story deck here, covering this ability. You can fully charge it with stamina. So there's all sorts of things, and you're going to always have a different combo because every card in this deck is very different. At the end of 5 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. Okay, let's talk about this game. We'll talk about the theming of it first. It's a superhero theming, and I think it actually does a pretty good job of, hey, these are the powers you're discovering, and now you're a full-blown superhero. They don't always match. I got fangs. I'm the Human Torch. You know.
I'm pokey and hot.
I do think there will be some divisiveness on the artwork. Like, when I first saw this cover, I was not interested at all. I didn't really like the cover or the back. It has grown on me some, playing through it. Some of the artwork, there's still some of the artwork that it just feels wispy, for lack of a better term. It's watercolor and all that. It's the same artist who did the Wormspan, and I felt kind of the same way there. I don't dislike it, but it's a style.
I think what I'll say is I think it's very good artwork. It doesn't feel very comic booky to me, and I don't like it, but art is so subjective. I think that's where I'll just kind of leave it.
And I would say that the cover is the worst representation of the art in the game. I think the game looks better on the cards and on the player boards, but I agree with you. I don't think that the art is necessarily the thing that's going to draw people in, although I do think there's some good elements of it within the game.
And actually, to speak to that really quick, I think that as your player board is laid out, the 4 rounds that lead up to the 5th round where you reveal your superhero identity, I really like that when you open up that comic book board.
Yeah,
it shows artistically that whole idea of that journey, right? What happens to you in the first round is going to be something that you carry with you through the rest of the game, both mechanically, but also that's what the art represents. I think that the theme in this one is strangely strong. It's very well done.
It is. It's pretty thematic for a trick-taking game. And there's other great components in it. The score trackers, as dumb as it is, the fact that you flip them over and it's the same score both ways, and it works. Like, yes. Every time I flip it over, I'm not like, oh, hang on, guys. I think I had 7 points, when they spin too much. So overall, this box is almost too small for the amount of content that's in here.
Yeah, I do love the score trackers. I agree with you there. And I think that so often in trick-taking games, it becomes hey, get your own piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and keep track. And that's okay, but it's nice to have those things. The only thing I'll mention, because we have been talking about how theme is well done, and I agree, especially in trick-taking games where it's very hard to inject any type of theme. The only element that takes me out a little bit is this idea that from round to round you can be a hero or a victim. That's or a hero or a villain. Sorry, not a victim. That's a little bit... Yeah, that's a little bit odd.
That's very comic booky. Is Magneto a hero or villain? It depends what year you're in.
Sure, I'll give you that.
It's very Marvel universe anyway, where the people there switch to bad guy or good guy at the drop of a hat. Yeah, so the game itself is based on, happily, the most basic of trick taking. 4 suits, 1 suit is trump. This is hearts. And
Spades or
yes, well, I don't know as much about spades, but it's definitely hearts. Is the 1 suit is trump. It's hearts actually, in hearts.
is hearts trump suit?
Yeah.
Oh,
You just don't want to take it.
I thought you slept. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, no,
yeah,
you're right. It's always the one that's led. You're right. Either way, it's still
Okay.
pretty basic. You're right. It is closer to spades. Well, you can see how well we know our classic card games, or at least me anyway. But it is a really basic game, and anytime I teach it to people, that part is really easy, and I'm thankful for that because when you throw in the powers, it just goes off the rails. All kinds of stuff is going on, and if the basic game wasn't so basic, it would be too much, I think.
I agree. There's no wrinkles at all to the basic card play. Every wrinkle is going to come from your player board, from the powers that you draft, the powers that you choose to charge up each round, and it has a nice arc where you're worrying about 1 power the first round, potentially 2 the second round, or maybe you're saving up a bit so that by the third round you have more flexibility. I really like that it's going to have a very gradual growth and a nice arc to it without overloading people right from the get-go.
Yeah, and I would say that it's essential that you had that basic must-follow 4 suits, one of them trump framework, because this does become a game that can get quite chaotic. It can get quite silly. And while I like that, I think it's very much a positive in this game, it's not something that I would say is necessarily beginner-friendly for trick-taking folks. I do think that it maybe is a bit much, especially since you get towards the end of the game and you have, some different powers that could be firing off, and it might be happening before you start a trick. It might be happening in the middle of a trick. It might be happening at the resolution of a trick. There's a lot to keep track of, and while I think that it leads to a very satisfying game experience, it is a little much for people that might be new to trick-taking games.
100% agree on that. I'm not necessarily letting that affect my rating, but I would not play this with people who were new to trick-taking. I would play a basic trick-taking game with them. Then the next logical step after that, for me, I think, would be Rebel Princess, which feels halfway between a regular one and this one. Rebel Princess, in fact, there's a lot of same DNA, sort of. In that one, you have a power, and now you have 5. When you come into this one that are going off at different times.
And the round event structure, just kind of getting used to that idea that, like, here's the basic, very simple card play. Hey, also, there's a twist every single round. I think you're going to see some comparisons for people who have played Rebel Princess and this one. But Rebel Princess is in some ways simpler. Well, I think in a lot of ways simpler, right? It doesn't compound upon itself the way that the powers do in here. Also, structurally, it's simpler. It's not a negative, but it's just an oddity to me that there is, in the third round, an event phase which happens, and you flip over one event card from this huge stack of could be anything. And you're like, okay, cool, so we're going to start seeing events every round. No.
That threw me off, too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so that's the third round event. What about the fourth round? Oh, it's only the third round.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. It's not a problem. It's just an oddity, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think that this just has some of those little, like, weird oddity wrinkles to it. Rebel Prince is a little bit cleaner, but we're not really comparing the two games other than that, sharing some DNA.
Now, Mike mentioned the chaos, and there definitely is chaos in this game. Every power is different, and they all interact in different ways. But I think there's a lot of strategy anyway. I know that Mike can do this ability. I know he can win one trick on his turn. I know he's +2 to, a certain type of cards in his deck. And I know he picked those powers. And I also see that he's not planning to win any tricks this round. So I take all those things to account. I look at my cards. And yes, there's still that, oh, I can't believe this played and that power went off and oh, man. But I feel like there's a lot of strategy to it.
Yeah, I think that certainly the potential for a lot of strategy is there. I think depending upon what powers are in play, certain powers will add an element of randomness into a trick that you can't necessarily account for. But again, I don't think that's a negative thing. I think you need to know that going into the game. I think you need to know that there is the potentiality for some kind of wacky, crazy powers to take place. And you have to be okay with that, and know that. speaking as somebody who's played a lot of trick-taking games, I think that there's a lot of things that are done remarkably well here. It seems like almost every time you're looking through the powers that you can potentially draft. And I like the fact that you do get a chance to choose. You're not just kind of like, here's a random power. All of them feel great. Like, there very rarely was a time where I was like, I don't like any of these. Every so often, maybe there might be one that doesn't really synergize well with something you have before, what have you. I feel like most of the powers feel very cool. You're like, oh, I can't wait to try this and see how it's going to play out and how it's going to affect other things that are going on. I think that the way that you utilize those powers by basically having, is it stamina? By using that stamina system where you can choose which ones you are going to be firing off in a particular round, and you might have, 1, 2, 3 or more going off depending upon how those cards play out. I think that's really smart. I do want to mention, and this is something that I think is maybe standard etiquette for a game like this, but I do think it's essential that everybody kind of say, here's what I can do this round, because otherwise, that strategy kind of becomes diminished. But I think it's important for everyone to know what everyone can do in a round.
And especially if you because you charge up different ones each round, you might not have that power on, right? When I lead with a red suit, I get a point. There's a round, okay, well, I'm not charging that up. I need to announce that, because if I've been using it every single round and this round I'm not, I'm basically broadcasting to everyone, I don't have a lot of red cards this round. That's a cool little bit of information you could glean or assume from which powers I'm choosing to activate or not. I think that's great. Or I love the little powers that as you activate it, you spend the stamina token off of it. That feels, once again, with the theme, just a little superheroic. Like, I'm using this up. Oh, that person is running low on that power. We can capitalize on that.
And if you have the strategy, your first game, don't do this, but your second game onward, look at your final powers and try to build towards them if you can. Your first game, just play and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Don't think too much about it. But if you build towards them, and that draw 3 and keep 1 is just so much fun, because there might be a power you might not want to play open-handed, right? Some of the powers like play open-handed and get some points. I love that sort of thing, but someone might not like it. Then just chuck that. Like, one of my favorite powers, and I've seen it multiple times now, is one, because people like it. The trick is led by the deck, and everyone plays when you lead a trick, and then you have the first card and a card from your hand. And that could be crazy random, but also I don't know. There's just something about it that feels super interesting. And there's so many times I played this game, people go, that power was awesome. And they're happy for you that you have this fun power. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yes, it doesn't feel like, ooh, I don't feel like I'm playing the game. I have gotten a few mixed opinions, but for the most part, everything's been very positive about this.
I love that power too, by the way. The only complaint I've heard from people I've played with, as far as like something feeling maybe more powerful than other, is in those final form cards. They pretty much are all going to give you some points regardless. Like, you're going to get some points from your final form card. But some people have complained that, certain ones seem more just clearly better than others. I can tell you I have not gone deep diving into these to see if they're mathematically all, even or balanced. But I will say I have had at least one person kind of complain about that. I have not necessarily found that to be a problem, but I figured I'd point it out because I have had some people mention it at the table.
I've gone through them, and it is a little weird because some of them give you really powerful final hands, and others give you more points. And it's hard for me in my head to justify ever taking a hand over straight points. Points are guaranteed. The hand may or may not get me points. Mm-hmm. But I will also always pick the hand because I want to see what I can do in that final round. So maybe it's just a personality thing, but I get that. This one's an interesting one. You guys play dozens and, well, not scores, maybe 100 trick-taking games. Who knows? Where would you rank this, Chris?
This one's very high for me. I'm giving this one an 8.5. And what I've said in certain trick-taking reviews, I like a lot of games like this. I love just sloughing off cards, and I love seeing these zany things kind of coalesce. For a trick-taker, though, to get to an 8.5 or higher, it really does have to be something special. So I think that this one is something special. I think that feeling of growth and seeing how an early power and an early thing that happens to you is going to affect the rest of your play, the rest of the cards you draft, it nails that superhero origin story thing, right? It's a delight that it's so thematic. It's a delight that it gets a little chaotic, but it never loses the core of being, in some ways, very simple and clean of a trick taker, but also letting you do all sorts of cool stuff. That's exactly what I want from a game like this, and I think it nails it. 8.5.
Mike?
Yeah, I've played a lot of trick-taking games like Chris, and you too, Tom. I mean, none of us are trick-taking neophytes, but I think that this one is one of the best trick-taking games I've played in the last several years. It's really fantastic. It takes big swings and it connects consistently. I'm giving it a 9. This one really surprised me. It really, really surprised me. It is by equal parts strategic, absolutely nuts and silly and chaotic and wacky. It could be all of those things at the same time. And I've played a number of games of this, and I've had different experiences depending upon what cards come out, what players are at the table. But the one thing that's been consistent is that they've all been super fun, super satisfying. This is a game that I don't know that I've introduced it to somebody who just didn't like it. Even people that aren't like huge trick-taking fans seem to like it, whether it was the theme that they liked, the fact that you have all of these powers that all of them seem fun and you kind of want to do everything. It just works so well. The one part that I guess could be a slight negative is that I don't know that the look of the game is necessarily going to do it a lot of favors, especially the cover. I think it looks better on the table. You see more things that kind of evoke comic books than what the cover shows you. But as far as the core of the game, the gameplay loop, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I like chaos to some degree, but I like controlled chaos. A good example is a very popular chaotic trick-taking game is Dwarf King. And while I'm amused by playing that, I'm just like, did I even matter this turn? It was just so chaotic what happened. And you can have fun with that, but here it feels like it's controlled chaos. There's all kinds of chaotic things happening, but I'm going into this going, every game's going to feel different because people are going to pick special powers. And it's a good 4-player trick-taking game that, well, it can go to 5, but I'm used to trick-taking games being partners, what have you. Here I'm just concentrating on myself. Each round builds upon the last. I do agree that it should not be for new folks, and in fact, I haven't even really attempted that because after the first time I played it, I'm like, I'm going to teach this to people who at least have some trick-taking game, knowledge. Like one of the people I played with my wife, who plays the most basic trick-taking games and loves them, and she liked it. She liked all the different powers and things going on, but I love it. I'm giving this a 9.5. This is not just one of my favorite trick-taking games I've played in a while. It could be my favorite. I got to be careful. I really like Rebel Princess. I love The Crew. I love David and Goliath. Those are my big 4, or big 3, I guess. And this is in that running. Yes, wow. The theme helps, but I like being different than everybody else. I like having a power nobody else has. That's really fun. And it also doesn't overstay its welcome. 5 rounds is perfect. You're playing 40 tricks. It's not that long, but it feels like a satisfying game. So that's Origin Stories. Definitely check it out. I think you can pre-order it now. It'll be in stores very soon, I'm sure. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And we are secret superheroes. Someday. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.